Hello friends, I am Ankita Meshram, Assistant Professor in Civil Engineering Department at Tulsiramji Gaikwad Patil College of Engineering and Technology, Nagpur, accredited with NAC A+ grade. So, I welcome you all in today's video lecture based on subject Surveying 1, right? The topic which I am going to deal with in today's lecture is leveling, right, which includes determination of elevations, right. So I begin with the presentation. So these are the topic which I will cover in today's session, right. Number one is definition of leveling, right. Then the technical terms involved in leveling operation. Then we discuss about the uses and details of levels such as dumpy level, tilting level and auto level and the leveling staff, right. After that we discussed about the temporary and permanent adjustment of dumpy and auto level, right. After that the very important topic is the various classifications of leveling, right. Next is corrections for curvature effect, refraction effect and combine and sensitiveness effect, right. After that we discussed about the very important topic, that is collimation and rise and fall method. The numericals were based on this topic, right. At last we discussed about the errors occurs in leveling operation and what are the various precautions we have to carry out while performing the leveling operations, right. So first of all, the definition of leveling, right. So leveling is defined as an art of determining the relative height of different points on, above or below the earth's surface. So basically leveling operation includes the determination of elevations, right. So next, the principle of leveling, right? The principle of leveling is to obtain the horizontal line of sight with respect to which vertical distance of points above or below this line of sight are found, right? So as you all can see that in the image, there is a level instrument, right? And there is a leveling staff, okay? Next, the various object of leveling, right. So basically these are the objectives of leveling. Number one is to find the elevation of given point with respect to some assumed reference called as datum. Number two is to establish point at a required elevation with respect to datum, right. So these are the various terminology which is used in leveling operation. Number one is level surface. So basically it is the surface parallel to the mean spheroidal surface of the earth, right. Number two is level line, a line lying on the level surface, right. Number three is horizontal line. So basically horizontal plane through a point is a plane tangential to the level surface, right. After that horizontal line, so it is a straight line tangential to the level line, right. So this is the overall diagrammatic representation of level surface, horizontal surface, level line and horizontal line. So as you all can see that there is a earth surface, okay. The line, the surface which is parallel to the mean spheroidal surface of the earth is called as level surface, having curvature in nature, right. And the line tangential to the level surface is called as horizontal line, or we can say that horizontal plane, right. So basically the instrument is set, right, as you all can see that the first reading is always taken at the point of benchmark, right. So benchmark is a point of known elevation, okay. So the first reading we cite is always called as backside and the last reading we cite is always called as a foresight, okay. So this is the basic terminology includes in leveling operation, right. So next, the next terminology is datum. So it is an arbitrary level surface from which elevation of points may be referred, right. So in India, mean sea level is the considered as a datum point of zero elevation and it is situated at Karachi, right. So the mean sea level is the average height of sea for all the stages of tides and it is derived by averaging the hourly tide height over a period of 19 years, okay. The next is elevation, or you can say that reduced level, right. So it is the height or depth of any point above or below any datum and it is denoted as generally RL, right? So basically this is the very important terminology used in the leveling operation, right? Next, so as I already discussed about the terms used in leveling, so here in this image you are able to see that the level surface, the line lying on the level surface is called as level line. A line tangential to the level surface is called as horizontal line, and it is lie on horizontal plane, right? Okay. So moving forward, the next is benchmark, right? So benchmark, it is a fixed reference point of known elevation with respect to datum, right? I already discussed in the previous diagram, that is the benchmark. It is a point of known elevation, right? And you have to carry out all the leveling operation with reference to this benchmark, right? You can assume the benchmark value while performing the leveling operation, right? So the next is line of collimation. Again, it is a very important terminology included in the leveling operation, right? So basically it is a line joining the intersection of crosshairs of a diaphragm to the optical center of the object glass, and it continues to the object, right? So it is known as line of sight, right? The next terminology is height of instrument. Okay. So it is the elevation of line of collimation with respect to datum. So basically it is the height of instrument, right? Next is backside. So as I already told you, it is a staff reading taken at the known elevation, mostly at the benchmark point, right? So it is the first staff reading taken after setup of instrument, right? So the first staff reading we cite with the help of leveling instrument is always called as backside, right? And it is always taken at the benchmark, which elevation is already known, or you assume the benchmark value, right? Next terminology is foresight, right? It is denoted by Fs. Okay. So it is the last staff reading taken denoting the shifting of the instrument. Okay. So it is always taken at the last point, right? The next terminology is intermediate sight, denoted as IS, right? So it is the staff reading taken on point whose elevation is to be determined, right? So all staff reading between BS and FS are called as intermediate sight, right? And at last there is a change point. So basically it is a point on which both foresight and backsight readings are taken, right? So moving forward, so the next topic is instruments for leveling, right? So basically there are two instruments which you required for performing the leveling operation. Number one is level and number two is leveling staff. So there is an image displaying over here. Leveling staff is there, right? And a level instrument is there which is mounted on the tripod, right? Through which you are able to sight the object, right? Next. So levels and the type of levels. So basically what is meant by level instrument, right? So the instrument used to furnish horizontal line of sight for observing the staff readings and determining the RLs of various points, right? So there are different types of level. Number one is dumpy level. Number two is tilting level. Next is Y level, and at last there is a automatic level, or you can call it as auto level, right? Next. So the dumpy level is a simple, compact and stable instrument. The telescope is rigidly fixed to its support, hence it cannot be rotated about the horizontal axis, right? So basically this is the this is the introduction of dumpy level instrument, right? So this is the image of dumpy level, right? As you all can see that there is a telescope, okay, and the foot screws is there, right? The telescope is mounted on the circular plate having the 3 foot screw at the bottom, okay? There is a focusing screw, as you all can see that the focusing screw is there for focusing the object, right? And there is a eyepiece is there for focusing the eyepiece, right? So basically this is the image of dumpy level. So as you all can see that this is the overall picture of dumpy level instrument, right? Next is tilting level, right? So it is also known as IOP. level, that is the Indian office pattern, right? So in this level the telescope tilts about its horizontal axis, hence it is called as tilting level, right? So this is the picture of tilting level, right? In every level instrument there is a telescope, right, through which you have to sight the staff, right, or you have to note it down the reading over the staff, right, which is used for determining the RL of various point, right. After that the Y level is there. The essential difference between Y level and the other level is that in Y level the telescope is carried by two vertical Y supports, therefore it is called as Y level, right. The telescope can be rotated, moved or even raised in Ys. So this is the image of Y level. Next is very important, which is very advanced instrument we called as auto level, right? It is also known as self-aligning level. It is a recent development, as I already told you. The fundamental difference between auto level and the other level is that the leveling is not manually, but it is leveled automatically. Okay, therefore it is called as auto level, and it is achieved by inclination compensating device, right? So this is the image of auto level, right? As you all can see that there is a telescope, okay, mounted over the circular plate connected with the 3-foot screws over there at the bottom, right? There is a focusing knob, focusing screw, right, for focusing the object, and there is an eyepiece for focusing the eye level, right? So this is the basic components of auto level. As you all can see that there is a magnification, right? The telescope is very magnification, having bright and clear image, right? So as you all can see that 24x is the magnification level. The telescope with objective and sunshade, right? Horizontal drive screw is there. Horizontal circle is there over which the telescope is mounted, right? And there are the leveling screw at the bottom called as foot screws, right, and the compensator that is inside the instrument, the crosshair adjustment ring that is focusing the eyepiece, okay, and the focusing knob which is used to focusing the object, and the collimator, right. So basically this is the component parts of auto level, right. Now the various leveling staff we use for performing the leveling operation, right. So basically leveling staffs are the scales on which these distances are measured, right, on which the elevations are measured, right. So leveling staff are of two types. Number one is self-reading staff and number two is target staff. So we discussed one by one, right. So this is the basic image of leveling staffs, different types of leveling staffs available for performing the leveling operation, right. So number one, I'm going to deal with self-reading staff, right. So the self-reading staff can be read directly by the level man looking through the telescope, right. So there are common types of self-reading staffs. Number one is ordinary staff, number two is sock with telescopic staff, number three is folding staff, right. So one by one we discussed. See here, the ordinary staff, it is the one length staff is solid and made up of seasoned wood, and it is 3 meter long and graduated in the same way as the telescopic staff, right. So as you all can see that the ordinary staff displaying over here, right. Number two is folding staff, right. It is made up of well seasoned timber such as cypress, and it consists of 2 meter wooden pieces with a joint assembly. Each piece of the staff is made up of one longitudinal strip without any joint, right. So the folding joint is of the detachable type with a locking device at the back, right. So the staff is joined together in such a way that the staff may be folded from one another when required, okay. The staff has a brass cap at the bottom. It has two folding handles with spring action, and it is provided with a circular bubble fitted at the back. So basically this is the image of folding staff. They are able to fold it, right, when required. Okay. Next one is SOP with the telescopic staff. So with the telescopic staff, such staff is arranged in three lengths placed one into another. It can be extended to its full length by pulling, right. So the top portion is solid and the central box is hollow. The total length of staff is 4 meter, right, and the staff is graduated in such a way that the smallest division is 5 mm, right. The value in meter are marked in red on the left and those in decimeter are marked in a black color on the right hand side, right? So basically the least count of the telescopic staff is 5 mm, right? So this is the image of self-reading staff, that is the telescopic staff, right? As you all can see that there is a graduation, okay, mark over the staff, right? Now the next type is target staff, right? So for a very precise work and site target staff are used. A movable target is provided in the staff. A vernier is provided on target to give precise reading, right? So in target staff, level man directs the staff man to move the target up and down until it bisects by the line of sight, right? The staff man observes the staff reading. So it is used when very precise work is to be carried out, right? Next, the next terminology, the next topic is that is the benchmark, right? So according to your syllabus, there are four kinds of benchmark, right? Number one is GTS, called as Great Trigonometrically Survey Benchmark. Number two is called as Permanent Benchmark. Number three is Arbitrary Benchmark, and at last the Temporary Benchmark, right? So one by one I discussed, I will brief, right? So the GTS benchmark. So there are the benchmarks established with very high degree of precision at regular intervals by the Survey of India department, right? All over the country. Their positions and RL's value above the mean sea level, which was earlier located at Karachi and now it is taken at Bombay High, that is Mumbai, right? And it is given in catalog formed by the department. So basically the GTS benchmark is established by the Survey Department of India, right? So this is some image of GTS benchmark, right? Number two is the permanent benchmark. So the permanent benchmarks are fixed in between GTS benchmark by government agencies such as railways, PWD, etc. These benchmarks are written on permanent objects such as milestone, culverts, bridges, etc. The values are clearly written and their positions are recorded for future reference. So you must be seen this type of benchmark, right? Called as permanent benchmark, right? Number three is arbitrary benchmark. So basically these are the reference points whose RLs are arbitrary assumed, right? They are used in small works. Such benchmarks may be assumed as 100 or 50 meter, right? So basically while you perform the surveying operations in the practical slot of subject surveying one, right? You always assume the arbitrary benchmarks as a 100 meter, or you can assume 50 meter also, right? So whenever you perform the surveying practicals, you always assume the arbitrary benchmarks for carried out the leveling operation, right? Last one is temporary benchmark. They are the reference point established during the leveling operations when there is a break in work or at the end of day's work. The value of reduced levels are marked on some permanent objects such as stones, trees, etc. So basically this type of benchmark, temporary benchmark, carried out at the end of the surveying work, right? Next, the next topic is the temporary adjustment of a level, right? So these adjustments are performed at every setup of the instrument, right? While you set up the instrument, right, you have to carry out these operations, right? Number one is, first of all, you have to setting up the level over the ground surface. Number two is you have to level the telescope, right? That is the leveling of telescope is carried out, okay? And number three is focusing the eyepiece, and last focusing the object glass, right? So setting up the level, right? This includes you have to first of all fix the instrument on the tripod stand, right? So tripod basically consists of three legs over which you have to fix the level instrument, right? Number two is leveling the instrument approximately by the tripod, right? So first of all the setting of instrument is carried out, okay? So this is the tripod containing three legs and the level is mounted over the tripod, right? And there is a leveling staff, okay? Next is leveling, right? So basically leveling is done, the next operation, right? That is the temporary adjustment called as leveling operation, right? So in leveling, leveling is done with the help of foot screws, right? The foot screw provided at the bottom below the circular plate, right? The purpose of leveling is to make vertical axis truly vertical, and it is done with the help of foot screw, right? First of all, you have to place the telescope parallel to the pair of foot screw. Then hold the foot screw between thumb and the first finger, and you have to turn them either inward or outward until the longitudinal bubble comes in the center, right? Number two, you have to turn the telescope through 90 degrees so that it lies parallel to the perpendicular to the third foot screw, right? Now turn the screw in inward and outward motion, move the screw in inward and outward motion until the bubble comes in the center, right? So first of all, you have to place the telescope parallel to the 2-foot screw, and the second one, you have to place the telescope perpendicular to the 1-foot screw and carry the leveling operation till the bubble gets centered, right? So this is the image, right? First of all, the telescope is parallel to the 2-foot screw and then perpendicular to the 1-foot screw, right? You have to move the foot screw in inward and outward motion till the bubble gets centered, right? Now, at last you have to carry the two operations, that is focusing the eyepiece and focusing the object glass, right? So to focus the eyepiece, hold a white paper in front of the object glass and move the eyepiece in or out till the crosshairs are distinctly seen, right? Then the next is focusing the object glass. You have to direct the telescope to the leveling staff, and on looking through the telescope, turn the focusing screw till the image appears clear and sharp, right? Next topic is the permanent adjustment of level, right? So the establishment of desired relationship between the fundamental lines of a leveling instrument is termed as a permanent adjustment, right? So permanent adjustment indicates the rectification of instrumental error. For that, you have to carry out this operation. The fundamental lines, the line of collimation, the axis of bubble tube, the vertical axis and the axis of telescope, right? So the following relationship between the lines are desirable. So the permanent adjustment of level is carried out in this way, that the line of collimation should be parallel to the axis of bubble. Number 2 is the line of collimation should coincide with the axis of telescope. Number 3, the axis of bubble should be perpendicular to the vertical axis, that is, the bubble should remain in the central position for all the direction of the telescope, right? So now we discussed about the very important topic, that is the classification of leveling, right? So there are different types of leveling. Number 1 is simple leveling, then differential leveling, fly leveling, check leveling, profile leveling, cross leveling, reciprocal leveling, precise leveling, then trigonometric leveling, then barometric and hypersometric leveling, right? So number 1, I will brief, that is the simple leveling. So it is the very simplest method used when it is required to find the difference in elevation between 2 points, right? So as you all can see that there is a station benchmark and there is a station point A, right? With reference to this benchmark, you have to find out the elevation or reduced level at point A, right, of point A, right? So for that purpose, benchmark is assumed, that is 80 meter, right? And the instrument is set exactly in the midway between these two stations, right? And from that, the first reading is side over the benchmark called as backside, and the last reading is side at the station A called as foresight, right? Now with the help of calculation, you are able to find out the elevation at point A, right? So for getting the height of instrument, first of all you have to add the backside value into the benchmark, that is benchmark plus backside will give you the height of instrument, that is the height of line of collimation, and by deducting the foresight value with the HI, that is the height of collimation value, you have to deduct the foresight and you will get the RL of point A, right? As I already brief about this method, that is the HI method and rise and fall method in our theoretical lectures, right? So number 2 classification is differential leveling. This method is used to find the difference in elevation between points if they are too far apart or the difference in elevation between them is too much, right? So it is same as simple leveling, but when the difference is too far, you have to carry out the differential leveling, right? So as you all can see that there is a benchmark and station points were there and you have to find out the elevation of the point. For that you have to set the instrument at two different positions for carried out the differential leveling, right? Next is, this is the example of differential leveling, right? You have to calculate the distance between or elevations between 2 points, that is the datum. RL of 50 meter is already known, that is the benchmark, and the point J, right? For that you have to carry out the differential leveling operation, in which you have to change the position of instrument, change the position of the level, right, into different points, into different position, and carried out the leveling operation, right? So the distance, the two stations are too far from each other. That's why you have to carry out the differential leveling operation. Next is fly leveling. Fly leveling is just like the differential leveling carried out to check the accuracy of leveling work, right? In fly leveling, only backside and foresides are taken. So as you all can see that there is a point benchmark and the point B, right? And you have to carry out the leveling operation. For that you have to change the position of the instrument at the different points by taking backside and foresides, right? There is no intermediate sides were there in the fly leveling, right? So the next classification is check leveling. This kind of leveling is carried out to check the accuracy of work, and it is done at the end of the day work in the form of fly leveling to connect the finishing point and the starting point, right? The next type of leveling is profile leveling, or you can say that L section leveling, right? This method is used for taking levels along the center line of any alignment like road, railway, canal, etc. Right? So this is the some picture of profile leveling or L section, always carried out along the straight alignment or along the alignment of road, right? So this is called as profile leveling. Next is cross sectioning, right? Next type. So this operation is carried out perpendicular to the alignment at an interval of 10, 20, 30, 40 meter. The idea is to make an estimate of earthwork. So basically it is carried out for the earthwork calculations, right? Computing the areas and volumes. Okay. Next is precise leveling. It is used for establishing the benchmark for future public use, and it is carried out with high degree of accuracy using advanced instrument, right? And at last, there is a trigonometric leveling. In this method, vertical distance between points are computed by observing the horizontal distances and vertical angle between points. So, this trigonometric leveling is carried out in unit number 3 according to the syllabus of RTMNU, right? We will discuss in brief in unit number 3, right? So, this is the example of trigonometric leveling where you have to find out the horizontal distance and slope distance. With the slope distance and horizontal distance, you are able to calculate the elevations, right? That is the vertical distance. Okay. Now, the next classification is barometric leveling. In this method, the altitude difference is determined by means of barometer. Barometer is nothing but an instrument, right? So, barometric leveling is based on the fact that the atmospheric pressure varies inversely with height. Okay, so in this method, a barometer is used to determine the differences in elevation of points which differ considerably in height as in hilly area or mountainous country, right? And at last, there is a hypersometric leveling. The working of hypersometry for determining the elevations depends upon the fact that the temperature at which water boils varies with the atmospheric pressure. So, the boiling point of water reduces at higher altitude. Thus, knowing the boiling point of water, the atmospheric pressure can be calculated. And knowing the atmospheric pressure, altitude or elevation can be determined, right? So basically these are the two advanced classification of leveling, that is barometric and hypersometric, right? Now, the next classification is reciprocal leveling. So, this method is adopted to accurately determine the difference of level between 2 points which are far apart, or it is also used when it is not possible to set up a level in the midway between the 2 points, right? So, first of all, you have to let A and B be the 2 points on opposite banks of river, and it is required to find out the level difference between A and B. For that, you have to set up the level very near to the A and take the reading at A and B. Let the reading be A1 and B1, right? Now you have to shift the level and set up very near to the B and observe A and B to get the reading A2 and B2. Now, let D is the true difference of level between A and B, and E is the error due to the curvature, refraction and imperfect adjustment, right? So, by applying the corrections to the error, you are able to find out the difference between 2 points, that is A and B. So, basically the overall diagrammatic representation of reciprocal leveling, there is a station point A and there is a station point B. Between the two stations there is a river, right? So it is not possible to set up the level exactly in the midway between the two stations. Okay, so for that you have to first set up the level near the station A and cite the readings, and in the next step you have to set up the instrument near the point B and cite the readings, right? And by applying the necessary corrections you are able to find out the difference in elevation, right? So next topic is the methods of reduced level, that is the methods to find out the RL or find out the elevations of a different points, right? So number one is height of instrument method. Okay, it is also called as HI method, and it is very simplest method to determine the elevations of point, right? So this method consists of finding HI for every setup of instrument and then obtaining the RL of point of reference with respect to HI, right? So basically the RLs of a different point is calculated with the help of formula, that is HI minus intermediate site, you will get the RL value of next point, and by HI minus 4 site you will able to get the RL of the respective point, right? So next method is rise and fall method. This method is very tedious, right? This method consisting of determining the difference of level between consecutive points by comparing each point with immediate preceding point, right? So I already discussed and I already carried out the numerical based on HI method and rise and fall method in our theoretical class, right? So the next topic is the curvature corrections, right? So for long sights, the curvature of earth can affect the staff readings. The line of sight is horizontal but the level line is curved and parallel to the mean spheroidal surface of the earth, as I already told you, right? So the vertical distance between the line of sight and the level line at particular place is called as curvature correction, right? The effect of curvature is to cause the object sighted to appear lower than they really are. Okay, so the curvature correction is always subtractive, and for getting the true staff reading you have to apply some formula for the correction, right? That is the observed staff reading minus 0.0785 d square meter, right? Where d is the distance in kilometer, right? So basically this is the formula for curvature correction for getting the true staff reading, right? So the curvature correction is always negative, right? It is always downward in direction, the curve nature, right? Next is refraction. The ray of light pass through layers of air of different densities and refractor bend down. The effect of refraction is to make the object appear higher than they really are. So the refraction varies considerably with the climatic condition. However, you have to take CAR, that is the correction for refraction is 0.0112 d square meter, and it is always positive in nature, right? Refraction is always additive. For getting the true staff reading, you have to apply the formula, that is observed staff reading plus the refraction correction, right? So this is the image of diagrammatic representation of refraction correction, always positive in nature, right? Now, at last, we discussed about the errors in leveling, right? So the following are the different sources of errors. Number one is personal error, right? The instrument may not be level, the focusing of eyepiece and object glass may not be perfect, right? There are the parallax may not be eliminated, the position of staff may have changed, entry and recording in the field book may not be correct, the staff may not be fully extended, may not be held vertically. So basically these are the personal error which occurred during the leveling operations, right? Now the next is error due to natural causes, that is the curvature of the earth may affect the staff reading when the distance of sight is long. The effect of refraction may cause a wrong staff reading. So these are the some errors in staff reading due to the high velocity of winds, right? And at last there are different types of errors listed over here, that is foresight and backsight not being taken on exactly the same point, reading the staff upward instead of downward, reading of stadia here, reading of wrong number of meter and decimeter, entering backsight in fs and vice versa, that is the entering is done in the wrong way, right? The transporting the figures, transposing the figures, right? You noted down the reading should be proper, correct reading should be entered, right? As the incorrect readings were there, it will affect the serving work, right? Omitting an entry. And the last is the leveling staff not being fully extended, right? So basically these are the types of common errors occurs in leveling operation, and you have to carry out the precautions for the same so that the errors get eliminated and you will able to find out the correct readings and find out the correct elevations of a points, right? So here I end my today's session based on leveling, right? Thank you so much for attending, for listening the lecture very patiently, right? Thank you so much and take care.